Welcome to Cut the COVID Crap Part 85. Whoever wants censorship wants to hide the truth. Normally, I discuss stuff that I find on the net and give a short overview of uh, what I find interesting. This time, I thought of it myself, so I don't have any references today. But I think it's quite significant. So, my point is if you want the truth, then you don't want censorship. Then you don't want to call stuff mis, dis, or malinformation and try to protect people from seeing it. And that seems to be the trend. I mean, in a lot of governments these days say like, oh, we need to combat disinformation, misinformation, malinformation, whatever it means. But if you want to know the truth of a complex matter, what you need to do is look at the pros and look at the cons. If there's a complex matter, and either by doing your own research you come to a certain conclusion, or you hear a certain conclusion from people that push a certain outcome A, and you don't open up for outcome B or the opposite of A, then you're not looking for truth. If you want to look for truth, you want to look for the pros of A and the cons of A, and the pros and the cons of the alternative if possible. You want that if you want the truth. And then by having that information, both the pros and the cons, then logically you can decide what you find more credible. And that will bring you to the truth. If you go by even if you go by the scientific consensus, if there's a concept like that, it doesn't work. I mean, if you follow the mainstream narrative, and if you're even the mainstream narrative followers, I guess most of them think that the Earth is round, right? Until the Middle Ages, the scientific consensus was that the Earth was flat. The, the consensus and the scientific consensus was that the Earth was flat. I think we can thank Galileo that he um, rejected that notion, that he was looking he was a dissident in terms of the prevailing narrative, and we should be glad that he thought of that and argued that and stood up for it, and uh, despite the personal punishment that he got, in the end people did have to acknowledge it. So if back then we just followed the scientific consensus, we would have still thought today that Earth was flat, possibly. Um, so again, if you want the truth, you want the information of all sides of the spectrum. So my conclusion is, if somebody argues that you should protect people from disinformation, then they want to hide the truth. Because if they wanted the truth, then they said like, here are the pros and cons, and it's clear, right? Decide for yourself. It's clear. And it's not that people cannot make those decisions, right? I mean, if you tell a 4-year-old to jump off a high wall, he won't do it, right? The vast majority won't do it because they have common sense. They can weigh the benefits and the risks. So there is no need whatsoever on complex matters to protect people from mis or dis or malinformation. Whatever it means. Um, and then on top of that, the the governments that these days try to act on protecting people from misinformation, they are the very same ones that said before, um, if you're vaccinated, you don't get COVID, or it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. So the ones that lied, because those statements have never been true, the ones that lied, clearly have lied, they are the ones that say that you have to be protected from dis and malinformation. And they are going to be, the liars are going to be the arbiters of truth. And I'm not saying you have to believe everything that's on the net, every alternative view. No, not at all. Not at all. But be you need to allow it, and it's up to people themselves to weigh it. It's as simple as that. Anyone who says you cannot say that because it's untrue, yeah, they don't care for the truth. They don't care at all. So um, pay attention to people or governments that say um, we have to censor information. They have by definition, an agenda that has nothing to do with truth. Think of it yourself. See you next time.